Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, March 23rd, and we are on day 28 of Module 3. We've only got like 4 days left. I'm so excited. So, our video today is really short, but you need to make sure that you have your knowledge and response journal ready because we're going to be doing some investigating into some quotations. Okay. So, go ahead and share my screen so we can get started on our video. Oh, wait, hold on. Stop sharing. So remember guys, we have a big question, the essential question for all of the modules. So module 3, our essential question is how can people respond to injustice? And then for our text that we're reading about Sylvia Mendez and her family, we have the medium-sized question, the focusing question, and that is how did the Mendez family respond to injustice? And then for today's lesson, we have the small question, which is the content framing question. And we are going to look at what is the important message in separate is never equal. Okay. Our learning goals for today are to determine an essential meaning for the story. We're going to use keywords from text quotations to determine essential meanings. And we're going to work on our focusing question task narrative paragraph that you started yesterday. So if you did not get to finish that, you're going to finish it today, and hopefully you're going to add in some new things to your narrative. Now I'm going to share my screen.
Welcome back, powerful thinkers. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher. Let's see what we need for today. Today we'll need Separate is Never Equal, Sylvia Mendez and her family's fight for desegregation, handout 28A, the narrative writing checklist, your journal, and a pencil. Please pause here to gather what you need and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we are not going to need a copy of the book because we will see it on the screen. And you do not need handout 28A. We're not going to do that part of today's lesson.
Duncan Tunatiyu, the author of this text, had a specific purpose for writing this text. He had an important message to share with all of us. We're going to consider or think about what that message could be, and we'll also use quotations to help us think more deeply about today's text. This essential question continues to guide our thinking as we move toward the end of the module. Please pause here to read the question to yourself and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so read the question quietly to yourself. Okay, now I'm going to read it to you. How can people respond to injustice? And remember, that is our essential question, our big question.
Like we learned at the beginning of our module, great researchers and historians take those big essential questions and narrow down their focus so they can really focus in and study a particular text. Our focus question for this arc has been, how did the Mendez family respond to injustice? As we think about this question today, this will also help us determine or figure out what the author's message was for us. What is the important message in this text? I bet you already have some ideas. At this point in the story, the judge from the court case made his decision. Although it took him over a year to make this decision, he ruled in favor of the Mendez family, which means that Sylvia would be able to go to the school that they wanted to go to. But the local school board decided to appeal this decision. They were not happy with this decision, so they asked for other judges to look over the case so they could make a different decision. But the wonderful thing that happened is Sylvia saw people from all over the country who were supporting them, who were on their side. Sylvia's mom said,
Cuando la causa es justa, los demás te siguen.
when you fight for justice, others will follow. What do these quotations mean? When you fight for justice, others will follow. Pause here to do some powerful thinking about that, or to chat about it with a learning partner. And just hit play when you're ready to continue. To help me think about this quotation, I used a couple of synonyms. Synonyms are words that are like the words that are there. So, for example, when I look at the first part of the quote right up to the comma, I could read it like this by replacing the word justice with the phrase, what's fair? When you fight for what's fair, comma, others will follow. And if I put a synonym for follow in its place, I could use the phrase join you. So I could read the quotation like this. When you fight for what's fair, others will join you. By using synonyms, it can help me to understand what a quote is trying to say. I want you to pause here to give it a try. Try this quote using the synonyms and see if it helps you understand what is happening in this moment. I'd like you to pause here to grab your journal and a pencil. And once you have them, please turn to a blank page in your journal. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so at this point, you are going to get your journal and you are going to turn to page 157, I believe. We did 156 yesterday, so today we're on 157. And we're going to write the page number on the bottom and today's date on top, which is 3/23. Okay, so this is what your page should look like so far. Page number and the date.
In order to determine or figure out the important message in this text, I'm going to ask you 3 questions to think about in powerful ways. And also, I would like you to jot down your thinking in your journal as we consider what the important message could be. So right now, I'd like you to jot down number 1 in your journal and listen closely to the question. Sylvia's mother said,
¿No sabes que por eso luchamos?
"Don't you know that is why we fought?" Why does Sylvia's mother use the word we to tell who fought? Pause here to jot down your thinking about this question next to number 1. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so the question was, why did Sylvia's mother use the word we fought? Why didn't she say I or your dad? Why did she use we? What do you think? What I want you to do on page 157, I want you to think about that question. Why did she say we? Who is she talking about? And then I want you to write your answer on number 1. Okay. And then when you're done, go ahead and push play. Okay, so I would love to hear what you wrote. I'm going to read it as soon as you turn this page in. But there are several reasons why Sylvia's mom could have said, "Don't you know that is why we fought?" Because it wasn't just her mom that fought. It wasn't just her dad. Remember, Sylvia's aunt tried to enroll them into the white school, and she wasn't allowed to do that. Sylvia's dad talked with all these other parents and he traveled all over trying to get support for the lawsuit. Sylvia's mom is the one who took care of the farm and the children and everything while Mr. Mendez was away fighting the law and trying to get the petition signed. And then there were also lots of other families that joined in. Mr. Marcus was one of the attorneys and he fought also. So when Sylvia's mom says we, as in we fought, she means like as a whole group. There was a whole group of people that fought, not just one or two of them, not just Sylvia's family, but a whole group of people, and the whole family fought. Okay, so let's get back to our next question.
Now we're going to move on to the next question. Please write down number 2. Now I want you to zoom in to one word in this quote. Please point to the word fought. When someone has fought, it means that they've been fighting. Listen carefully to this question, and then I'd like you to jot down your thinking. Ready? Here we go. What kind of fighting happened in this text? Pause here to think back on this question and also to pull some evidence from the text that you can include in your response to number 2. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to think about what kind of fighting happened in this text. What kind of fighting did Sylvia's aunt do? What kind of fighting did Sylvia's dad do? What kind of fighting did Mr. Marcus do or Sylvia's mom? What kind of fighting did they each do? It's not talking just like, was it physical or was it with verbal? Like, what did each of them do individually? So I want you to pause the video, think, answer question 2, and then hit play when you are ready to continue. So the kind of fighting that happened in this text, well, let's start with Sylvia's aunt at the beginning, because Sylvia and her brothers were not allowed to be enrolled in the white school. Her aunt refused to enroll any of them into the white school. Mr. Mendez, he kept asking why. Why can't my children go to this school? Even when the school officials wouldn't give him an answer that made any sense to him. Mr. Mendez also made a parent group and he tried to collect signatures for a petition to let the Mexican children go to that school. And then Mr. Marcus filed the lawsuit on behalf of the Mendez family. Those were all the different kinds of fighting that happened in this text. It's not talking about fighting like yelling and screaming and punching. It's a different kind of fighting. Okay, so again, I can't wait to see what you wrote on your answer. All right, let's go to question 3.
Now it's time for our third question. Please jot down the number 3 right under your second response. Please pause here to read this quotation to yourself in Spanish or English. Just hit play when you're ready to read the English quotation together. Let's read this quotation together. When you fight for justice, others will follow. In what ways did others follow the Mendez family in their fight for justice? Pause here to jot down your thinking for number 3. And don't forget, pull some textual evidence from the story that supports your thinking. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. I want you to think about the story and think about this quote. And then ask yourself, what ways did other people follow the Mendez family in their fight for justice? What are some ways that the other families did that? Answer your question on number 3 on page 157. And then when you're all finished, go ahead and hit play so we can go over what I think. Okay, so the ways that other people followed the Mendez family in their fight for justice, let's start with the truck driver. Remember, the truck driver is the one who heard and saw Mr. Mendez trying to get people to sign the petition, but no one would sign it because they were afraid of there being problems. So the truck driver is the one who told Mr. Mendez that he should file a lawsuit, and he told him to get a hold of Mr. Marcus. And then as Mr. Marcus was involved, he got 3 more families to join their fight for justice. And then the Mendez family got support from people in the community, from all different backgrounds, from all over the country, and from different parts of the country. And they got more support after the lawsuit had started. So those are some ways that other people followed the Mendez family in their fight for justice. So make sure that you have your questions separated so I can see them clearly, okay? And I'll have a picture of this posted so you can see it before you start. All righty? Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Back to our video.
Now that you've had a chance to really study those quotes closely, it's time to think about the important message in this text. What important message will you take away from this text? Pause here to jot down your response in your journal and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we are going to go to page 158 because I know a lot of you may not have room left on the bottom of that page. So we're going to go to page 158. Okay, and we are going to write that question on the top of the page. The question is, the important message is, we're going to write that across. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Go back. I accidentally hit the mouse. Okay, so minimize. There we are. Okay, so on the top of the page, you're going to write the important message is, and then I want you to think about what is the important message of the story? What is it that the author wanted you to learn or wanted you to take away from reading this text and from learning about this story? What did the author want you to know? Okay, so that's what you're going to write. That's what the important message will be. Alrighty. So you're going to do that on page 158. Page 158. Here we go. All right, now I'm actually going to skip part of the video to get to the very end of it. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen again. Alrighty, here we go.
Authors often talk to us through their characters. So when we study their dialogue, the quotations that are in the story, we can better understand the message that the author is trying to share with us. You worked extremely hard today to determine or figure out that message. Share that message with others, teach others, and I'll see you again very soon.
Okay, so that I told you that was going to be a short lesson. So that was the end. I just want you today to make sure that you have your exploded moment narrative completed, and then make sure that you complete the 2 things from today that we just did. The answer the questions 1, 2, and 3 about the quotations, and then tell me what you think the important message of this story is. All right. So that's all we've got for today. Let me do our word of the day. Here we go. Spin the wheel. What's it going to stop on? What do you think it's going to say? I like how the words change every day. The word is aquarium today. Aquarium. If you need to pause the video and write that word down because it's a big one, that way you spell it correctly. It is aquarium. Alrighty then, guys. Where'd my thing go? Oh, okay. Stop share. There I am. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great afternoon. I will see you later for phonics class. Okay, bye, guys.